Okay.
1, 2, 3. Yes.
I think we nailed it. We should start a band. Oh my gosh.
Oh, we should.
Love
David
it.
Shanhun, how are you, man?
I am good. I am very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's awesome, man. Hey, thanks very much for taking your time to have a chat to the Slank, man. Appreciate it.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, awesome, bro. You got, at the moment, you've got like a #1 hit in the New Zealand charts. You got a song. Is it in the country music section?
It's in the singer-songwriter section of the iTunes charts. Yeah, so it's been super beautiful, man. It's a little song that I filmed and recorded with my dad, and yeah, it's seeing his face the other day. This has been the most magic moment for me. But seeing his face the other day when he realized he was genuinely above the actual George Ezra in the chart was huge. Was a beautiful moment. I mean, yeah, it's very cool.
That's awesome, David. That's awesome, man. That's huge. And the song's called Jesse.
Yeah.
What's that about, brother?
Honestly, man, it's actually a Joshua Caddison song. It's a little song that my dad obviously sang, and I sang with him when I was a kid.
Oh,
and
wow.
It just has fond memories for the two of us, I guess. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's sick, man.
Been real nice.
Yeah, nice. I wanna start with like a really weird random question, but so you're a New Zealand songwriter, bro. What does Albany, West Australia mean to you?
Mate, I love it. I was born in Albany, WA.
Yeah.
So and I went after I studied classical guitar at uni. I didn't complete the degree, but I met a bunch of cool people, got into a bunch of awesome music through that, and obviously really value the skills from that time. And I went back after uni because a bunch of my family on my dad's side are over there. It was just beautiful. It's such a beautiful place, and because of the family connection at that point, I was like, this really feels like home.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Even though I've grown up in New Zealand since before I was 2. But it's interesting, those little things sometimes. You're like, something about this feels right. So
yeah, that's it. Did you get a chance to sort of explore WA at all, or you mainly just going to Albany, like when you came back?
Yeah, no, I hung around. I was there for 6 months, so got to explore a bit as well, and I'm trying to think where that was now. Went like prawning one night in one of the like rivers. It'll come to me.
Yeah,
it'll come to me. Denmark. There you go.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Down the bottom there. So.
Yeah.
But travelled around a bit, and that was a really good time. I had a job working at Woolies at the supermarket, and when I wasn't working there, I was either surfing and exploring, or watching this Tommy Emmanuel DVD I had and trying to work out what on earth he was playing. So it was a really good time. Yeah.
That's cool, Dave. That's cool, man. And I'm just I had a look on your website and just your About Me section. On that, it says
Sure.
You're a New Zealand artist and you got into music in high school after seeing the smiles a friend brought to a crowd of people by singing and playing guitar. Was that like what? Talk us about that. Like when was that and where and what sort of songs was he playing and that's what inspired you? That lit a fuse in you.
Yeah, I think it's super funny looking back at it now, right? Like. It's just at high school was just a dude. He was singing Jumper by Third Eye Blind. The group, everyone sing along. Cool. 3 chords. Magic. But it's funny now because I look back. I remember that so clearly. Like I was like, I want to learn how to play guitar.
Yeah.
I mean,
I want to do what that guy's doing.
Exactly. Which is pretty funny. You know how people talk about like, there was this moment, and I'm like, I look at it now, I'm like, oh damn, that was the moment.
That's it. Yes. And then did you pick up the guitar after that, or?
Yeah, I started having guitar lessons. I was 14, and sort of like it was like halfway through the school year, and kind of, I think I probably went home and just went, Dad, I want to learn guitar? Like, I don't know. Yeah.
That's cool.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did your old man have any sort of like music background himself?
Yeah, well, Dad's always sung, but he's been nervous about it. He's got a great voice, and so that's who I did the track with right now. Like, that was our little combo. And some of those things are quite cool. Like, my dad plays a bit of guitar and sings. My mum used to make up all sorts of random songs if we went like walking somewhere as a family. She could never remember them. They were just made up on the spot. But it's sort of like,
wow,
it's funny when you look back at things and I think, oh, it's kind of cool little combo of stuff going on that I grew up with. So
yeah, that's sick. And so like, is your old man? Is he a bit of like a country music fanatic or?
He likes a lot of stuff, man. Like, so, listen to everything from, I mean, like Glenn Campbell and the kind of more Don Williams countryside of stuff to all the, Queen and the Eagles and all the sort of classic rock stuff of the day and that as well. So, yeah.
Big mix. And did he sort of have that music playing in the background as you're sort of growing up?
Yeah, all the time. Like there was all sorts of bits and pieces. Like I remember we had this. I learnt piano for a couple of years, and I was a terrible student, and it's something I think every now and then I hack out like 4 chords, and I'm like, okay, cool, I can sing a song kind of really badly accompanied on the piano, but I remember having this competition we had a boarder for a while that she stayed and she played piano, and we learnt this. I don't even know who it's by, but we learnt this piece and we would try and have races like before dinner, like who could play it the fastest. And it ended up like terrible. It was no longer music. It was just like, okay,
just attacking.
Get this thing, but I think some of those things I'm like, that's cool. It's just music around. It's like, it doesn't have to be good or any of that stuff. It's like you're just involved and you're enjoying creating something with sound. So
and then and when you picked up the guitar at 14, and then how long was it before you sort of started playing your own songs and started like doing your own sort of gigs?
I have this tape. This makes me sound like I'm like 100 years old. But I had this tape that I recorded a song for my girlfriend when I was like 15, 16, probably 16, which I went to play it about 2 years ago, thinking I'd sort of dug it out and was like, this will be hilarious. I put it in the tape deck, press play, and it just snapped.
Oh no! Oh no!
So, but yeah, I started writing. It was just a way to express myself. Like that, I think I'm probably fortunate that tape has snapped and it cannot be shared. Like the terrible teenage angst songs. I'd been just learning guitar not that long, and I couldn't really sing very well, to be honest. Like through that, and so it's one of those things. I'm like, probably a blessing for everyone that's not in the picture, eh?
That's awesome, Dave. What sort of music, brother, were you listening to when you were like in that stage of early guitar playing, and like, what sort of music influenced you in a way?
Oh, the biggest two would be Dave Matthews Band and John Mayer. Like, just two very different but like epic guitarist songwriters for kind of different reasons. But I remember there's a live at Luther College is a Dave Matthews Band album with Tim Reynolds. Yeah, 2 guitarists, and Tim Reynolds he's like astonishingly good guitarist. It's pretty cool. Yeah. And I remember listening to that, and I was like, I'd just figured out, probably my first bar chord, and I heard this, and I was like trying to learn Tim Reynolds solos, you know, like,
wow.
just like, dude, you're not gonna play that anytime soon.
Yeah.
But I love it. It's the like excitement of it, right? It's like it's irrelevant if it's like way out of my depth.
Yeah.
It's that enthusiasm for just being like, music is cool, and I'm gonna sit here for 4 hours trying to work out how on earth to do this.
Yeah.
Even if, you know, I'm seemingly no closer at the end of it than
Yeah. That's beautiful,
Even
man.
started.
Yeah, beautiful, David.
I still can't play any of his solos. It's like that's like the training ground, you know. We like, I'm gonna try and play this. I'm gonna try and play this.
Yeah.
Never really could play any of them, and sort of like, I guess some point you move on to enjoying different things. But
Yeah.
maybe I should go back and at least learn one.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And John Mayer as well, David. He's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I loved is it drove me insane trying to play some of what John Mayer plays and sings.
Yeah.
And same with Dave Matthews. You can maybe learn the guitar part and you think, yeah, cool. And then you start singing, it's like,
How do you put them together?
cool.
Yeah.
Starting again, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
So, yeah, that was really my high school. And then being in New Zealand, like all the stuff like Crowded House and Dave Dolan and the kind of classic Kiwi names. I was just learning songs and strumming chords and singing them, and
Yeah. And then
so
then when did it go from doing that to like sort of playing gigs and stuff?
well, it's just evolved. Like, you know, there's one point where, and I was 27. Like, I just quit my other jobs and was like, I'm gonna perform full time. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like, boom, the thing I think lots of people look for.
Yeah.
But I think I was 16, and I might have even been 15. Like it would have been 15. The first gig was for like a barbecue for the parent teacher interviews at school.
Yeah.
And the music teacher at school, I would have had my like face in the music book, you know.
Yeah.
And he plugged me into an amp and set up a mic. I didn't have any of that gear, and I just kind of worked through my book, next song, you know. But it got me out in front of people.
Yeah.
And then I did some busking, and my first gig was at a Starbucks with a mate,
Oh wow.
and I think they gave us $50 and sort of as much coffee as we could drink till
That's
till
awesome.
we, started playing too fast, and yeah, that was it. So
That's a good first gig to
pretty
have.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome,
Yeah,
man.
and so it just evolved, you know. I think once you as soon as you've gotten one gig,
Yeah.
where someone's paid you,
Yeah.
and I find this fascinating. So I had the Starbucks gig, right? We got $50,
Yeah.
and then people would say, "Oh, you're thinking about doing music? How are you gonna pay your rent?" And I'm like, "Well, they paid me." Like, you know, it's like, well, what if I just did 2 of those, or 3 of those, or 5 of those?
Yeah. Definitely.
And it really, like, that whole conversation, I sort of like, well, it worked once.
Yeah.
So,
let's keep this train rolling.
yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome,
Yeah,
bro. Yeah. And how I first found you, David, was through YouTube, through your YouTube videos. So I was sort of experimenting. I've got like an RC30 looping pedal, which
Awesome.
is pretty sweet, the 2-track, yeah. And I just started
Yeah.
just looping, and I wanted to learn how to loop better and learn some songs to loop. And I came across you on YouTube doing some looping tutorials. So
Nice.
it's sick, man. I just want to know how did you sort of start getting into looping?
Well, this is great because the first time I like bought a looper was the Digitech Jamman Stereo,
Yeah.
and I genuinely got it like on the way to this. somehow picked up this cool corporate golf gig,
Yeah.
and I was like, sweet mate, this is the best. At the time, I was like, this is the best gig I've ever had. I had a couple of like New Zealand names of people that were guests there, and I was like buzzing,
Yeah.
this is great. And I just bought my new loop pedal. Thought, yes, I'm gonna be so much better now, right? And as you know, things don't always go quite to plan. And so I looped Layla from Eric Clapton, thinking, cool, I learnt the solo. This will be fun. I can finally doing a solo gig. I can finally play it.
Yeah.
And it's got that little pickup. Well, I looped 2 of those. And I had no idea, because suddenly I panicked. I was like, this has not gone well. I was stomping on everything. Being like, how do I stop it? How do I delete it? So I think it's funny now, like, and some of the stuff you'll see I talk about on YouTube, it's like, get to know your pedal. Like, it doesn't matter if it's fancy or not fancy. Like, if you know how to stop something, if you know how to undo the last thing, if you did a mistake,
Yeah.
probably your audience won't know, but also you're not panicking, you're not stressed out, and so like it's kind of, it's doable, eh? So
That's
it's
amazing.
Probably it came out of that. But.
So you literally picked up the pedal and then on the way to the gig and then plugged in. That was your first experience with that looping pedal.
I was like, because I understood how it worked.
Yeah.
If I play 4 chords in a row,
Yeah.
it will just repeat them. So I was like, I mean, it's hilarious now to think, like, imagine that any pedal out of the box to think you're gonna at the gig dial in the tone you want or know how it works, and I was like, this is gonna be cool. I think I was genuinely excited about the gig though. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like next level for what I've been doing, so I need to be next level. Like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'll buy it today. I can use it.
Yeah.
It was like, I bought the pedal, I bought like, another guitar lead. Sort of like.
Oh man. What happened once you had that happen? Did you like pull the pedal out and just go straight into your acoustic, or did you just like?
No, I mean, it wasn't. It felt like 2 minutes trying to just stop this.
Yeah.
And I think I just stopped the song and was like,
how we doing, everybody? How we doing out there? All right? You having a good time?
Absolutely, yeah. So, thanks. I'm still gonna be here.
That's it.
Yeah. So I didn't use it for the rest of the show. I was like,
yeah,
no. And then but then I went home and was like, okay, how does this work?
yeah. It's pretty important to learn. That's awesome, bro. I've had the same experience where I've been on stage because I play like guitar, acoustic, and then my mate, the Big Eagle, he writes all the lyrics and he raps, and so I'm putting down and I'm putting down the guitar, and I'm going to move on to the bass, but it's getting some feedback. It's going wow, wow, and that's just like looping, and Eagle's just looking at me like, what are you doing? Like, we haven't practiced. Like, you just put me off. Like, just turn it off, and then it's so funny. It was crazy. So I just like, oh yeah, I do the same thing. I'll turn that shit off, and I've got to learn how to use that.
That's great.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the beauty sometimes of live shows too.
Yeah.
Is some of those things you almost can't practice, because if you're set up in a tight corner that still needs a bit of volume, it's like, well, maybe you haven't gotten any feedback at home because you've got a big practice space. So
yeah,
there's a balance of being like, I think I've got it at least. Don't do what I did. Like, try it out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
definitely.
It happens.
Yeah,
it happens.
Anything can happen live.
But I love, man, when we connected as well. It's like it really fascinated me because we were chatting, and you were one of the first people that I was watching some Dr. Joe Dispenza stuff.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh damn, I've been listening to his podcast, and like,
yeah,
I love that guy. So I think sometimes these things are kind of fascinating because it's like, yeah, sure, you found me on YouTube for looping and things like that.
Yeah.
But then there start to be these common little threads, right? That you're like, and I've been watching some of what you're posting, and I'm like, I need to like save that like thought for the day.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, definitely. I find it's crazy as you're exploring new things in life. Then you find like these pathways where you meet new people and they're on the similar path and similar frequency. I think definitely. Yeah. I had like my singing. I just started recently singing lessons, and my singing teacher, she's all into Joe Dispenza as well. So we just started chatting about that, and then we started chatting about holotrophic breathing and like all these different things that are really interesting. Yeah, it's crazy. Comes out of nowhere.
Cool. Yeah. I honestly, man, I'm looking forward to listening some more of your podcasts as this grows.
Yeah.
Because like all that stuff, there's a flavor that comes out through all of that, where it's like, sweet, there's like all these little nuggets of wisdom.
Definitely.
Sneak into all of what all of us do.
Yeah. And podcasts, do you listen to a few podcasts, Dave?
Off and on. I've been listening to a whole lot more. And I listened to a bunch of recordings talking about a lot of that stuff from a little like Wednesday night group chat that we have, which is very cool.
Yeah.
So then it's like I've got these recordings from people I respect and learn a lot from, and we all share all sorts of stuff. But I find that stuff really valuable to go over.
Yeah.
Because it just, especially if I'm having a bad day, or I'm like, you're learning something and you're like frustrated with it, and it's sort of like, I'm sure I can get this, but it's not happening today, then honestly, man, going for a walk, chucking something like that on of someone talking about something entirely different, talking about how our brains work, how, our energy shifts, and it's like all this stuff where you start down the little rabbit hole that you're like, a good example of this, a friend sent me a quote the other day, which is Einstein, which is, if I can remember it correctly, imagination is the preview of life's coming attractions.
Wow.
And I've just been discussing this with this little online group, and suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, if you're like stressed out about the whatever's coming up, it has to play out like that. Whereas if you're like, this is the funny thing for me, even when I look back to that loop incident, I was just excited to do something cool, and it totally bombed. But like somehow in that excitement, it's genuinely become like, if you look at longer term, it's become my career. Yeah. So and there's two things that could happen. I could say I'm never playing again. Oh my gosh, it was so embarrassing. I'm like, Yeah. I'm out, man. Like, I can't ever show my face. So who knows? I suspect at some stage I'll play a show somewhere and someone will come up to me and be like, did you ever do a little golf event? I'll be like, no, it wasn't me.
No, it's the other man.
And they'll listen to this podcast and they'll be like, it was you. It was definitely you.
Oh, man. Oh.
So,
yeah.
So, yeah, I think that stuff is really valuable, and it does, the more I learn on that side of things, the more I look back, and it's like, when I was learning Dave Matthews Band songs, I like wanted to be on stage with Dave Matthews.
Yeah.
And that's ridiculous. I was in a small town of Palmerston North with like 70,000 people. Dave Matthews was not like, hey, I'm going to be touring there anytime ever, But somehow that little thought of like, like that'd be cool. Not even like, maybe even genuinely thinking it would happen, but being like, well, if it somehow did, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I feel like I played more, I got inspired more, I just enjoyed the whole craft of learning the guitar more.
Yeah.
Because of that tiny little thought.
Yeah. And would you
versus teaching, right? I taught guitar for a bunch of times, versus someone that sits there and they're just like, I'll never get this, and you're kind of like, maybe you're right. Like, kind of like, if that's how you look at it.
Yep. That's huge. That's huge, man. That's huge. That's exactly how I think as well.
So I'm really curious, like how when you started with the guitar,
Yeah.
what picture did you have in mind?
I just started playing guitar because a couple of friends at school were playing guitar. They were learning guitar, and one of the teachers was learning guitar. And I was 10. And I'm like, oh, that'd be cool to play. It's probably similar story to you. Really.
Uh-huh.
Just heard someone playing guitar. It sounds cool. And I picked it up, man. And I did 2 lessons. And the guitar teacher at the time said, come back when your fingers grow. And so I was like, oh, all right, cheers, brother. So I sort of, I put it on the back burner a bit. Then I picked up the bass guitar because my mate wanted to start a band. And this was like when I was 15 or 16. And I thought, I'll just pick up the bass guitar. It's got 4 strings, learn that. And yeah, it went from there, man. And I sort of taught myself how to play it. And just that was through my influences was like Red Hot Chili Peppers. So
cool.
You got some mad bass lines with Flea. So just pretty much taught myself like guitar tabs and stuff from that way. And then went back to the acoustic guitar after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all my songs are sort of pretty bass heavy. A lot of the ones that I write now.
Yeah.
I guess that's an influence from Flea from the Chili Peppers and just playing the bass guitar at a young age as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, on that topic, would you say like Flea was, like someone you looked up? Like, I want to be like that.
Man, I was like in my bedroom, just like slapping the bass, jumping up and down, pretending I was playing in front of thousands of people, and I was going so hard that I kicked a hole in the door in the wall, man. I smashed the wall, and yeah, I had to sort of tell the old man I apologise. I was just in the moment, I was lost. Yeah, you just get lost. Yeah,
Absolutely.
But you're right. I think that's huge. And what you're saying before, I think, were you sort of like visualizing yourself on stage, like when you're playing guitar, like thinking yourself on stage next to Dave Matthews, or?
I mean, I don't think I was. It just I had this kind of picture of maybe not necessarily specifically visualizing myself actually on stage, but it was like this like slimmer of like, well, what if?
Yeah.
Like that'd be cool. And no, I didn't. What I'm saying is I didn't have a picture of thinking like, like, you want to count us in, man? Like, but the crazy thing is now for all the stuff I'm learning, in that side of things and like listening to Joe Dispenza.
Yeah.
I'll learn to speak properly one day. But it's like, I realize that it's like, there's an amazing power to that. Beyond something that I have to work out.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where I'm like, cool. Even if that never happens, the fact of like going through that process of being like, cool, these are my pals. Yeah, I play on stage with these guys. Yeah, cool. It shifts the next time I pick up the guitar. If I'm thinking that just for fun,
yeah,
because why not?
Yeah.
Then it's like something shifts in how I play.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So it's a very cool world to dive into, I think.
Yeah.
And there's just for anyone that's listening to the podcast I really enjoyed, which is Aubrey Marcus's podcast with Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Oh, love that. Love Aubrey Marcus. He's an absolute legend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you read Aubrey Marcus's book at all? Own the Day, Own Your Life? That's a ripper.
I have the audiobook of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been great.
Do you like to listen to audiobooks instead of reading, or do you sort of do a bit of both?
I've found that especially if I'm doing solo shows, I'm in the car a lot.
Yeah.
And so by default, podcasts and audiobooks and things like that I've really enjoyed. And also like during our lockdown and quarantine, it was like the only way to leave the house was to go for a walk. Like, that was our option.
Yeah.
So I kind of instead of chucking tunes on and things like that, I actually put on a bunch of audiobooks, and it was really, I feel like that actually, when a lot of people are like, yeah, like, because when what we did performing live suddenly disappears,
Yeah.
the natural thought is not like, what if this is a good thing?
For sure.
It's like
my livelihood.
Yeah, exactly. Like my income just died.
Yeah.
Now what? So yeah, from that side of things, I think like actually digging into a bunch of that stuff, and this is stuff that I find like it doesn't get talked about a lot in the music world. It's just like practice more, man, and it's like that might not be the smartest option.
Yeah.
If you're practicing being like, I suck at guitar, but I'll try harder. You're like, it's probably not going to get you where you want to go.
Definitely. I think that's the same in sporting as well. Like my mate's a good cricketer, Joel Curtis, and he always talks about the mental side, and he's got like he's got a couple of mentors in that aspect, like the cricket mentoring. Scholes, he's sort of like his coach, and like feeds him balls and that while he's batting, but also just like talks about the mental aspect and like sort of resetting yourself in between balls and like, you know, things like that. There's a lot. It's a lot more than just the practice, isn't it?
Fully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Man.
Yeah, and I think both can. It's a tough one, but if you know the illusion is as well, like, right, I'm gonna just sit in my bedroom and meditate, you know, and listen to podcasts, and I will be the next John Mayer. It's like, no, you need to pick up your guitar. But equally, I think that balance of it, if you're really feeling uninspired and you know, like, it's like, take a break.
Yeah.
Take it, you know, just give yourself a break. Like, come back to it, sure.
Yeah.
But you know, go for a run, go jump in the ocean, like, and then be like, okay, I'll try again tonight, like, you know.
Yeah.
And because it takes a bunch of time. It takes crazy amount of hours for some of the stuff that we've learned. But I don't think about a lot of it because I'm enjoying it. Like,
yeah.
I did this little loop challenge for Tennessee Whiskey, and I was on a 3-day virtual program that took up a lot of time. I didn't spend a lot of time doing it, but I wanted to challenge myself and other people to try something new with looping. And anyway, the night before, I'm like, okay, I really need to like prioritize a lot of time now.
Yeah.
But I don't know how long it was. It was some weird hour of the night, and I'm just in headphones with a loop, playing the same thing on repeat. And I mean, I think that's one of the things that I do just lose myself. And sure, sometimes I don't start, but it's suddenly when I think about it, it's like, how many people are like, yeah, I just spent like 4 hours without a break, and then, you know, stopped and was like, I'm hungry. You know, not surprising, man. You've genuinely just been sat playing. I mean, that's a lot of Tennessee Whiskey.
Oh man, but you're just in a state of flow, aren't you? You just like, you lose track of time.
Totally.
Yeah. And you're obviously doing something that you love and that you're put on earth to do.
Yeah, and that's been one of the really cool things about sharing some of the behind the scenes, doing some tutorial stuff, doing some of the live streams that I do on YouTube, is it's like, I love the messages when someone, there's a guy on the live stream on Tuesday, we did a little vocal exercise, and it's like, he put a comment and he's like, oh my gosh, you're right, I can feel the tension. Like, he had a new experience, something that he just wasn't aware of before.
Yeah.
And that's so cool for me, like, to realize that, like, you know, it's up to him now if he practices and experiments and trains it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like opened the door for a new capacity with his voice that he didn't realize. And so that's super special for me. That's where I'm like, this was totally worth
yes,
a bunch of gear and jump on and make it happen. So
what's that you do, David? You do your own little live stream every week, or with a group, or?
Yeah, I set up. It's just on YouTube. At the moment, I've kept it there, and then it's just nice and simple. But it's 7:00 on a Tuesday night in New Zealand time.
Yeah.
So all sorts of odd hours throughout the rest of the world. Sorry, team. um, but I've basically set it up that I make myself available. It's an ask me anything session.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if people want to pick my brains, whether it's on music, marketing, whether it's on what I had for dinner,
Anything.
honestly, like I just wanted to put myself out there every week that whatever comes up, we'll try and talk about it. There'll be a bunch of times that I'm there being like, I don't know. I have, like, great question.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea, but I realized that there's both less and more people than I think doing music full time, which is sort of a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
Because the people around me, there's a lot of people doing music full time, so I think it's normal. And there is a crazy amount of people that do music for a living, and I think if you haven't made that jump, we totally forget that.
Yeah.
Because probably your circle of friends, you're like, well, I know him, maybe him, and then after that, it's like Ed Sheeran and John Mayer and those guys.
Yeah. So how did you sort of? Sorry to cut you off, David. How did you sort of like make that jump from doing it as a hobby to full time? Like, when did that sort of happen for you?
It's great. I had a relationship breakup and kind of went, and I was working in a call center.
Yeah.
Beautiful sunny days in New Zealand, and this call center had these big windows, right? So I'm in there like all day. The sun is streaming outside. I'm looking out the windows at people walking past and like, enjoying life.
Living.
I was like, hey, do you want to buy some stuff? And so I basically was like, I need to do music. Like I need to quit. And because of the relationship ending as well, it was like I had no one. It was just back to me. Like I had to look after me. So
yeah,
it was, even though I didn't have stuff lined up, I could quit my job, and I went busking the next morning. 8 a.m. because I was nervous. Like I really hope I can pay my rent.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I think, again, that first day went really well. I think I made about $100 in 2 hours and was like, oh, I'm gonna go home and like kick up on the couch. And
oh, this is easy.
Like, music life is great,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of lucky with how that happened, and then because I didn't have a job, it's weird how it happens. Because I didn't have a job, I had 24 hours a day to go and talk to places. I went to open mic nights. I would stay till the end and play and connect and hang out with everyone, because I didn't have to get up at 7 o'clock to go to a job. So in a weird way, by doing that, it made it easier.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
So
yeah,
and then it's been 10 years since that happened, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sick. And you've played you played sort of all around New Zealand?
Yeah, it's been cool. I've done a bunch of tours here and played shows, and then at the end of last year got the opportunity to go and play in Japan.
Oh wow.
Which is very cool. I studied Japanese in high school and I was a terrible student. It was really nice to go over and play over there. Such a different setup and culture, and so appreciative. It was really a lot of cool experiences. So I've done a few little shows here and there in other places, but that's something I'm really looking forward to, as well as building that side of things and I guess pushing myself to make it happen in different places. And
definitely, bro. Awesome.
Do that. So
cool, man. And just going back on your looping and stuff, what sort of gear do you use now? Like, what's your setup when you're playing live in terms of your pedals and your guitar and stuff? It's
pretty simple, to be honest. And really, it's it's fundamentally the Voice Live 3, the TC Helicon Voice Live 3.
Yeah.
And that includes a looping as part of the unit. So that's what I'm looping on, but it also includes a bunch of amp sims, guitar effects, vocal effects, reverb, delays, that sort of stuff. So it's kind of all in one, and I absolutely love it and hate it all at once. Because, I mean, it's the nature. There's so much packed into the pedal. It works really, really well. But because everything is one pedal, it takes a lot of brain power to get your head around it. And I feel like, I'm confident with it now. I know what I'm doing. It's great. But I also do miss the fact of just, you've got an overdrive pedal. You're like, if I kick that button, it's overdrive every time. Yeah. Whereas with this unit, it's like, oh my gosh, that should be my overdrive, but I'm on the looping screen. So hang on. And, but I use that with the Boss OC3 pedal.
Yeah, the overdrive, yeah.
And, the octave pedal.
Oh, octave, sorry, yeah. I use that one as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then I have a little, I think they're called Wild Dog Stomp pedals, an Aussie brand.
Okay.
For a little, it's like the sound of a kick drum, right?
Yeah.
Stomp pedal. And that's pretty much the rig, like very, very simple.
Yeah.
It will likely change at some point down the track, but
yeah, awesome.
It's a good compact setup, simple, and everything's there. And now that I've programmed stuff and changed it around, it's like cool. I'm
very happy with where you're at.
Working nicely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Nice, Dave. And what sort of guitar are you running?
It is a Takamine ND15C. Super old now.
Yeah.
It's no longer around.
Yeah.
No, you can't buy mine. Yeah, super nice guitar. It's really, really grateful and really enjoy it.
Yeah. And you use you use it for some percussive sounds, like when you're looping and stuff.
Yeah, it's only got under the bridge pickup.
Yeah.
So it's not mic'd, and I have been looking at some of the Matins because they just have such a nice sound with that blend of the little mic and their under the bridge, under the saddle pickup.
Yeah. But
it also brings in a few other issues as well, depending on when and where you're playing with having that mic there. So
yeah.
But I'm lucky is really. I'm pointing over there. You can't see it, but
yeah. What, your guitar?
My guitar's hiding in the corner. Yeah.
Do you feel like grabbing it and playing a song?
Yeah. Oh, we could do that.
Yeah. You feel? Yeah. Whatever you feel like, man.
It's a mystery. Okay.
You.
I'll learn how to play one day, I promise.
Oh, mate, that's awesome.
What are we gonna? Sorry, it's not Christmas time at all.
No. Do you do Christmas gigs?
No, honestly, no. I have, like, apart from making up on the spot what I hear from like Christmas carols and remembering as many lyrics as I can.
Yeah.
No.
Great answer.
We got asked. We did this gig. I was doing a duo, and we'd been booked by a venue. They'd been booked by a corporate company for their Christmas do.
Yeah.
And the venue had forgotten to pass on to us that they would like 10 minutes of Christmas songs.
Oh, wow.
Which we were like, we have 0 minutes of Christmas songs. Anyway, we turned up, and my buddy Andy, I was like, I'll stall them, I'll play another song and just like fob them off, because the company was like, if you could play your Christmas repertoire now, that'd be great. Bring Santa in, something. And he like unplugged, took his guitar into the bathroom, like
yeah,
was just like, okay, I'm gonna learn Silent Night, and we did like 12 verses of Silent Night.
Oh, yes.
You know, it was like he sang, then I did a harmony with him, like same verse, then I played the melody for a verse. You know,
Oh,
it was
wow.
like we just stretched this out
For 10
It was
minutes.
like- yeah, that was the only song we knew. So
That's
I
cool.
apologize if you were at that Christmas event. I really hope you were a fan of
No. Yeah.
of Silent Night.
What are you going to play for us today?
I'm gonna test out a new little song just because why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't. It's not out. It's not really out there. So if you happen to be listening to this podcast, then if you like it, it's a treat. If you don't like it, well, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's called "Hurt People, Hurt People." I remember the trip we made when I was not okay. I made you sleep upon the floor. Didn't know what to do, no way to talk with you. The pain in me I just ignored. Looking back, well, I know that hurt people, well, it's true, we don't mean to hurt no one. We've all got past issues that need time and wet tissues to come undone before the hurt is gone. Thought I was over this, but I'm still trying to resist. Looking deep into your eyes, and you packed up your things. I took off my wedding ring, well, and said I was okay, but I lied. Looking back, well, I know that hurt people, well, it's true, we don't mean to hurt no one. We've all got past issues that need time and wet tissues to come undone before the hurt is gone. We can't move on. Well, hurt people, well, it's true, we don't mean to hurt no one. We've all got past issues that need time and wet tissues to come undone. Hurt people, it's true, we don't mean to hurt no one. We've all got past issues that need time and wet tissues to come undone before the hurt is gone.
Yes, boy. Yes, David. That's awesome, bro.
Cheers, man. It's it's a little work in progress, and at some stage I'll duck in and record it, but it was a friend helped me out actually. I really wanted to write it, and I go through phases of being like, oh, I can't play it today. There's still a bit of energy around that one for me.
Yeah.
And
man.
but it's no, it's kind of how I process a lot of stuff as I sit down and like the tape that fortunately we can't hear to my sweet high school girlfriend of 16, you know.
Yeah.
It's sort of like sometimes those things I feel like I'm a better songwriter now, and other people can maybe relate and connect as well, rather than just I miss you. Why did you leave me?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That's
So,
sick.
Yeah.
Cool, man. I love it, man. I love it. Sounds awesome. And with your songwriting, like, do you have like a process you like to do? Do you like to sort of get some chords first, or think of like a theme to write a song about and find a melody? What do you have in like any sort of way?
It varies a lot for me, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
I there's a lot of times that I sit down and I have like a little guitar riff, and then that particular song I wrote, I had this little groove, and I was walking down the beach and I just recorded. I was singing to it, you know, and just recorded actually a little loop app on my phone. Like put the I'm a terrible beatboxer, but when there's no other option, I recorded a little loop of that and then just sang a bunch of lyrics to it, and it kind of evolved into this. So I find that sometimes that happens. Sometimes I just sit down and I have chords or a little lick or an idea and I play it on repeat, and somewhere out of it, it's almost like a lyric comes to mind.
Yeah.
And so it expands from there. It's just like this one idea. I'm kind of like, and it's a bunch of times I'm like, why did I sing that? Like, what's going on in my soul?
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's some things I haven't dealt with. Okay, let's talk about it. You know, so sometimes I find just getting myself out of the way, letting whatever comes out. And I'll be honest, if people are around, I struggle to do that because I'm still concerned of judgment and you know,
self-conscious
thoughts. But as soon as everyone's gone, or if I write a lot when I'm traveling, because different space, different energy. It's kind of like, and if you're in a hotel room performing, or, you know, after a show and you're sitting around, it's like, probably no one can hear me. Or maybe they can. Maybe they're like, seriously, dude, go to sleep. Like, you're playing the same riff on repeat for the last 2 hours. Like, but I find something happens that it's like I let it out, and then once there's a starting point, it's kind of like, for me, open up and just expand on it.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah,
nice. And that's interesting, like going for a walk and like just listening to it on repeat. I find like writing songs or listening to podcasts, or if I'm driving, like if I'm doing something where I'm in motion and listening to something on repeat, I find that's really helpful for sure. Yeah. And I know like a lot of our songs we write, I might write a riff and I'll send it to the Big Eagle, and he writes a rap just on my acoustic guitar. And a lot of the times he's just got his headphones in. He might be on a mine site in WA, and he's just listening to it on repeat, like a 12-hour day, just listening to it and just thinking about like a topic. Yeah, he's he's really big on the lyrics. So I just do the music, and he's like really the lyricist, tells a story, and it's really important. So for him, and I'm starting to sort of appreciate that a lot more. The lyrics, storytelling is huge.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Do you find you do that on the guitar though? Like when you, in terms of writing something, you have, it might be a little chord sequence, it might be a little riff, and it's like you just play it on repeat, and it just evolves just a little bit, and sometimes there's a big change, but it's like it's the same process, right? Like just it's kind of like, how many times have you played that? You know?
Definitely hundreds. Yeah, definitely. And with your songwriting, David, like did it just like evolve naturally just from playing gigs, and you sort of worked out your songwriting methods?
I think it's something that will forever be evolving, and as I say, I used it as a tool to express myself to start with.
Yeah.
And it still is that. I think now I'm just aware of, like once I get the initial stuff that I just need to like say out, then I'm like, does this make any sense? You know, like let's like actually turn it into something where people are left with an experience or a feeling.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I did my first album, Dreamer, like that got released, and I won some recording time, and I had all these songs that I'd written at home, that no one knew about at all. Like I'd never played them anywhere. And to the point that even, you know, when I was at high school, if I heard the car come up the gravel drive, I would put my guitar away if I'd been writing songs and stuff, like, and pretend I was just watching TV because like I was so awkward.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which sweet as for playing the guitar or singing someone else's songs, but like expressing myself, it was like just super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I had this album, and I would give it to people like I did an album like
wow.
and to the point that I had a couple of people that were like, awesome, I'll put it on. I was like, if you put it on now, like I will have to go.
Yeah. I'm sort of like that as well. I want them to have their own experience and not be there while I'm listening, watching them watch a film clip or something. I like them, especially if they've never heard it before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I guess all that stuff evolves, and now it's one of those things that I'm like, chuck it on if you want. Like this is, and I'm becoming more comfortable with what I write. Like, it's like, cool. Just like, hey, I wrote this, share it.
Yeah.
If you dig it, awesome. If you don't dig it,
no biggie.
No worries at all.
Yeah.
Like, I still wrote it whether you like it or not.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, well, you're doing it because you want to do it. You want to create the content. You want to put it out there. Yeah. Yeah. And you don't have anything to prove.
I think that's the thing. Like I was very concerned of like, and this is the weirdest thing when I started out and when I would be the worst. Right, it's a new thing.
Yeah.
I was terrified of people judging it.
Yeah.
And now it's like I don't care if you like it, awesome, man. And if it means something to you, cool, because I really value that. Like, even if I write 27 songs and like someone's like, I skipped all of them, man, but that one, like, man, that really helped me get through something, or I just dug the groove on it or something.
Yeah.
You're like, cool. But now it doesn't matter. Like, I love it if you love it, but really, if you're not into it, like turn it off.
That's okay too. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that, man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Fully.
And
yeah.
David, do you have like any mentors, like people that you look up to, or like as you're growing up, like playing music, or now anyway?
Yeah, I think I've been lucky. There's constantly a bunch of people that I'm aware of that I look up to, and the first one is a guy, Graham Young, who was the head of music at my school at Boys High. As I say, just without me realizing it, he naturally encouraged and probably saw a lot more in me than I ever thought.
Yeah.
Like suddenly being like, do you want to come and do this gig for like, plug you in or whatever. I was like, I guess so.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really grateful for him. And I remember, I don't know when it was, but I remember he had a gig. I must have been playing for a bit then, but he had like one of his gigs that he couldn't do or whatever, and he said, do you want to do it? And I was like, are you sure you want me to do it? But I think some of those things, who knows, he may have never gotten a gig there again after I played, being like, dude, if you're going to people like, that was terrible. 'Cause I was learning and I was, figuring stuff out, but I'm super, super grateful that he was willing to give me a chance, and
that's huge.
And then I had some of those experiences,
Yeah.
So him, interestingly, another, head of music, Des Lynch, I was teaching, at Paeatua, and working with him, and just the nicest guy, super encouraging. There's a bunch of the kids from that school there that really have a career in music, a lot due to his enthusiasm and encouragement, and also that definitely helped me have the confidence that, like, when it came to quitting my job, cool. And then in the music world, man, like there's a bunch of people like John Mayer. I love that. Like his whole story and journey, I think, is cool. He's like, I want it to be the best. And you're like, that's a good goal.
Yeah,